There's a list of words that most of us, as men, quietly buried long before we were old enough to understand what we were doing. Words like I'm scared, I'm overwhelmed, and the one that feels almost radioactive, I need help. We learned early, sometimes with a look, sometimes with a phrase, sometimes with a laugh from the wrong person, that these words were dangerous. They were off limits. They weren't man words. Society handed us a script for manhood, and on the very first page in bold it said, hide your feelings, swallow your pain, never show weakness. And we obeyed. We internalized the message so deeply that most of us don't even remember the first time we chose silence over truth. We just know that silence became our default. But here's the question most men never ask. What if the silence we were told was strength, is actually poison? What if this emotional armor we wear, this refusal to speak our truth, isn't protecting us at all? What if it's slowly corroding our mental health, sabotaging our relationships and isolating us from the very people who love us? This conversation isn't about being soft. It's not about abandoning masculinity. It's about survival. It's about reclaiming the parts of ourselves we were taught to bury, the parts that make us human, connected and whole. Because the truth is simple. The words we stop saying are the very words that could save us. Let's get brutally honest. Think back to the last time you were actually overwhelmed, truly drowning in pressure, stress, or responsibility. That moment where your chest felt tight, your thoughts were racing, and it felt like the ground was moving under your feet. What did you say when someone asked how you were doing? Probably something like, I'm fine, it's no big deal, just tired. We've become experts at emotional misdirection. We deflect, we downplay, we pretend, and we call that strength. But the data tells a much darker story. In 2022, men died by suicide nearly 4 times more often than women, and among men who struggle with mental health, the majority never seek professional help. In some regions, nearly 2/3 report they've never reached out for any kind of support. This isn't random. This isn't genetic. This isn't unavoidable. This is the result of a silent pact we've made with ourselves and each other. The pact to swallow our pain, to choke down our fear, to bury anything that looks like vulnerability. Today we break that pact. We're going to talk about the words we lost, why we lost them, and why taking them back is not just optional. It's essential for living a life of purpose, connection, and real strength. Section 1. The Silent Agreement. How we learn to stop talking. The silence doesn't start in adulthood. It starts on the playground, long before any of us knew what masculinity even meant. A kid falls and scrapes his knee, and someone says, "You're fine. Big boys don't cry." It sounds harmless. It's meant to be comforting, but it plants a seed that grows into a belief system. Pain should be hidden. Vulnerability is shameful. Emotions make you less of a man, and that message keeps repeating. It shows up in the movies we grew up watching, where the hero is stoic, silent, unshakable. It shows up in locker rooms where any sign of fear becomes a punchline. It shows up in the subtle pressure to be the rock, the provider, the unbreakable foundation for everyone else. This becomes what sociologists call the man box, a rigid set of rules about what a real man should be. Strong, stoic, emotionally controlled, always in command, never vulnerable, never scared, never lost. And like all prisons, the man box doesn't just confine, it suffocates. Studies on the adolescent man box show that boys are still learning the same outdated rules: always act tough, never show emotion, avoid anything feminine, join in on teasing or be targeted by it. No wonder we learn to perform. A recent survey showed that 2/3 of men would live differently if they weren't afraid of being judged. Nearly half admit they've pretended to be more masculine than they really are. So we put on the mask of I'm fine, the mask of I've got this, the mask of nothing gets to me. And the words that would make us human, the words that build connection, begin to disappear. I'm scared becomes anger, I'm hurt becomes silence, I need help becomes I'll handle it myself, I'm overwhelmed becomes withdrawal or lashing out, I'm sorry becomes an admission of failure, I love you becomes a script instead of a feeling. We stop saying these words because we think they disqualify us from being men, but all they really do is separate us from ourselves and from everyone we care about. The Section 2, the impact. How silence becomes a poison. When you push emotions down, they don't disappear, they ferment, they mutate, they become toxic. It's like sealing a pressure cooker and pretending the heat doesn't matter. Eventually, the lid blows off or the pot cracks. Let's look at both outcomes. Part A, the internal implosion. What happens inside us? Stuffing your emotions into the basement of your mind is not strength. It creates a constant simmering stress that floods your body with cortisol, the hormone linked to anxiety, depression, and burnout. But men often don't recognize depression because it shows up differently in us. Instead of sadness, we feel numb. Instead of crying, we disconnect. Instead of fear, we feel agitation. Instead of loneliness, we feel aimless. Our emotional vocabulary has been reduced to 3 words: fine, tired, or pissed. So the real problems, anxiety, trauma, grief, go undiagnosed and untreated. This quiet suffering is one of the reasons suicide becomes the tragic final chapter for so many men. Not because men don't hurt, but because men don't believe they're allowed to ask for help. And the body doesn't escape either. Chronic emotional suppression leads to high blood pressure, heart disease, chronic pain, digestive issues, insomnia, weakened immune system. Your body is keeping score, even when your mouth won't speak. Part B, the outward explosion. How men's silence breaks their relationships. If emotions don't implode, they explode. And for many men, every unspoken emotion ends up funneled into the one feeling we're allowed to show: anger. A man who feels unappreciated at work doesn't say, "I feel undervalued." He comes home short-tempered. A man who's scared about money doesn't say, "I'm afraid I'm failing." He tries to control everything around him. A man who feels alone doesn't say, "I need connection." He withdraws or lashes out. This is how relationships die. Not because men don't care, but because we've lost the ability and the permission to express what's really happening inside us. Partners feel shut out. Friends feel distant. Children grow up with a blueprint of silence, and we end up surrounded by people who love us, yet feel completely alone. Section 3, the solution. Rewriting the script and reclaiming the words. So how do we fix this? Not by abandoning masculinity, but by expanding it. By remembering that strength includes emotional honesty, courage includes vulnerability, and leadership includes asking for support. Here's how men start reclaiming the words we lost. That has step 1, identify what you're actually feeling. You can't express what you can't name. Most men have the emotional vocabulary of a microwave manual. We need to build that back. A simple practice. A few times a day, pause and ask, what am I feeling right now? Then label it. This is stress. This is fear. This is disappointment. This is grief. Research shows that naming the emotion reduces its intensity. You're no longer in the storm, you're observing it. Journaling works too. 5 minutes of honest writing can reveal things silence never will. Step 2. Start small and safe. You don't need to crack your chest open overnight. Start with micro-honesty. Instead of "I'm fine," say, "I'm a bit stressed today." Instead of "it's nothing," say, "It's been a rough day." Instead of just "tired," say, "I'm overwhelmed right now." These small truths teach your mind that vulnerability doesn't kill you, it connects you. Step 3. Reclaim the forbidden words. These words need to come back into our lives. I need help. This is strength. This is clarity. This is courage. I'm scared. Fear doesn't make you weak. Hiding it does. I'm hurt. You can't fix what you pretend doesn't affect you. I love you. Not as a performance, but as a truth. These words rebuild intimacy, connection, and trust. Step 4. Redefine masculinity for yourself. You get to decide what manhood means now. Not culture, not outdated stereotypes, not the man box. You. Modern masculinity is expanding. Strength nails silence. Courage nails emotional suppression. Leadership nails pretending you're invincible. Resilience nails isolation. The strongest men alive are the ones who can say, "I'm struggling. I care. I feel this deep. I need support. I'm human." This isn't weakness. This is evolution. Conclusion. This journey isn't easy. You're unwinding decades of conditioning, maybe generations, but it's the most important work you will ever do, because when men reclaim their emotional vocabulary, everything changes. Relationships deepen, fathers connect, friendships strengthen, mental health improves, life gets lighter, purpose gets clearer, isolation breaks, families heal. The future of masculinity isn't disappearing, it's maturing, it's becoming whole. So here's your challenge. In the comments, write one word or phrase men aren't allowed to say. Naming it helps break the taboo. for you and for every man reading. 2. In the next 24 hours, choose one person and be 5% more honest with them. Just 5%. A single sentence of truth. A tiny crack in the armor. That's how revolutions start. Not with a bang, but with a word. The words you stop saying are not your weakness. They are your power. Reclaim them. Reclaim your relationships. Reclaim your peace. Reclaim your life.